Welcome to The Insider. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe, like, share, comment and click on the notification bell for latest football news vibes. Liverpool's South American contingent face another race against time to be back on Merseyside after the international break for an early Premier League kickoff. South America has always been one of the great hotbeds of football talent, an area from which an increasing number of Liverpool talents have originated. As the Premier League has become more cosmopolitan, so the Reds have leaned more heavily on players from the region, from the very first in Mauricio Pellegrino, the early trailblazers Fabio Aurelio and Lucas Leiva, the impact of Luis Suarez, the influence of Roberto Firmino and Fabinho, right through to the current squad members. Success with Liverpool has often sparked, or at the very least maintained, international recognition for such players. And it's here that the Reds, like every other European club, acknowledge the payoff for snapping up some of the cream of that continent. Alisson Becker, Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez and Alexis Mac Allister have all jetted off to the other side of the world to take part in World Cup qualifying double-headers for their respective countries, the second of which will take place in the early hours of Wednesday morning UK time. And with Liverpool once again featuring in the 12:30 p.m. kickoff following an international break, the Anfield Derby against Everton is the 13th time they've been involved in such a match since Jurgen Klopp took charge in October 2015, more than double the amount of the next club. Those late finishes could prove an issue. They certainly did when the Reds were the early kick-off after last month's international pause. While Alisson started in goal at Wolves, both Diaz and Núñez were benched coming on in the second half to great effect as Liverpool came from behind to win 3-1, and Mac Allister's dire first half showing before being replaced was largely down to fatigue, having only arrived back in England barely 48 hours before. The midfielder will be the last Liverpool player in action in the early hours of next Wednesday, Argentina's game in Peru, not even starting until 3 a.m. UK time. Alisson's Brazil and Núñez's Uruguay will meet in Montevideo at 1 a.m., while Diaz is expected to feature for Colombia and Ecuador at 12:30 a.m. Mac Allister is again likely to be the main concern, particularly with Curtis Jones still suspended and both Thiago Alcantara and Stefan Bajcetic out injured. Wataru Endo, the other main defensive midfield option, has further to travel with Japan entertaining Canada and Tunisia in friendlies, but the latter kicks off at 11:10 a.m. on Tuesday morning in the UK, giving him significantly more time to recover after his return to Merseyside. While Liverpool have a total of 16 senior players on international duty at present, it's the South American quartet who will most likely once again hand Klopp his biggest selection headache. But whatever the situation on Saturday week, it's unlikely to surpass the problems Liverpool faced 2 years ago when they headed to Watford, having to contend with both the post-international break issue and the added complication of coronavirus travel restrictions. Alisson and Fabinho instead jetted straight from South America to Madrid, where the Reds were due to take on Atletico in the Champions League a few days later. But in their absence, Liverpool romped to a 5-0 win at Vicarage Road. How Klopp would like a repeat of that when the neighbours come calling 8 victories, 2 draws and 1 heartbreaking last-minute defeat. That Liverpool will look at the start of their season and know they could be in an even better position speaks volumes of the first 11 games, but that isn't to say everything is rosy. Klopp's men have a taste for giving the opposition a head start and being their own worst enemy, but equally, this is a team with frightening potential. Here are some of the positives and negatives of what we have seen so far. With a considerable amount of change over the summer, there was an acceptance that this squad would require time to gel and find their feet as a unit, but it hasn't really been the case. Adversity breeds resilience. It creates a common bond and shared experiences which can be used later down the line in similar scenarios, which we have already seen. Klopp was quick to say this team is easy to love, and it is hard to disagree. There is a connection with the supporters, and the energy is new, fresh, and there's a clear change in trajectory. It is obvious that this squad enjoys spending time together, and it shows on the pitch. The potential is there, and now it is a question of consistency. At Brighton, Liverpool conceded the first goal for the 7th time this season. There have only been 11 matches. They have lost only one of the 7, at Spurs, but they cannot continually rely on their comeback powers to make up for slow, sluggish and punishing starts to games. The average time on the clock when the opening goal is conceded is 15 minutes, which is poor to say the least. If Liverpool are to have a real crack of this season, they cannot be giving themselves a handicap and having to continually muster the energy to turn it around. It is not sustainable. A right-sided midfielder with energy to burn, an eye for an incisive pass and a deadly shot, it is fair to say Dominic Szoboszlai has not taken long to endear himself to the Reds faithful. Ranked behind only Mohamed Salah as Liverpool's top player so far by FotMob, Szoboszlai has settled in better than anyone could have hoped for. The Hungarian oozes confidence, self-belief, and has the ideal mindset for a Klopp side, which must work as hard in the defensive transition as they do going forward. He's played the second most minutes of any Red so far and has shown flexibility to take on various midfield roles. We finally have the number 8 we were long looking for. It has been staggering, hasn't it, from Alexis Mac Allister's red card against Bournemouth to the VAR controversy at Tottenham and the 2 yellow cards that never were for Diogo Jota. It has been one punch after another. The lack of consistency and application of the rules has been frustrating to say the least, and the dismissals of 4 players has forced Liverpool to play 192 minutes with less than 11 players. That is more than 2 matches and is asking a lot of the squad to make up for, which only feeds into injury concerns later down the line and burnout. Hopefully finishing with a full complement of players will become the norm once more. Liverpool have dropped points 3 times in the league this season, and 2 times they were leading in those games. They have been their own worst enemy, and we can nitpick all we like, but the Reds remain only 3 points off the top spot in the league, with a comparable goal difference to those around them. Consistency will be Liverpool's challenge if they are to sustain any push. But already the Reds have ticked off away trips to Chelsea, Newcastle, Wolves, Tottenham and Brighton. That we can sit here and say the record from that run ought to have been better says everything about the potential of this team, and there is a strong base to build on with 2 successive home league games on Liverpool's return later this month. Now, this is not a slight Alexis Mac Allister. Despite signing Wataru Endo, Mac Allister continues to take on the number 6 role, and he, of course, has his limitations as he is naturally a left-sided number 8. The sooner he can be deployed in his favored role, the one Liverpool signed him for, the better, but that begs the question of Endo and if and when he will get up to speed. Klopp has been hesitant to use the 30-year-old in the Premier League since the trip to Newcastle, and it leaves you wondering how long a specialist in the position will be second. The position is the weak spot in the team, and the manager and his staff will surely be mulling it over during the break. Thanks for watching this amazing video.